Hello, folks. Welcome to the third edition of Coffee and Bowls, a space created to discuss and share thoughts and experiences on different topics that are important to the skating community and beyond, in the hopes of shedding light and inspiring necessary change. Today, our topic is skating beyond the binary, and I am super stoked to be here with some incredible and fierce skaters. So we're going to start off by introducing ourselves, and if it feels safe to do so, we can include our names, pronouns, a visual description, what land we're skating on, and how long we've been skating, and what type of skating we do. So I will start us off. My name is Hal. I use they, them, theirs pronouns. I'm a white, non-binary, disabled settler living and skating on the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations, which is also known as Vancouver, Canada. I am wearing a blue tank top, which I chose because it's in the photo. So it is a blue tank top. You can't see it, but it has a circle of like colors, and in the center it says ableism is trash. I have sandy blonde hair. It is in a top knot above my head, and I'm wearing metal framed glasses, and I'm sitting on a beige couch with a white wall behind me. And I've been skating since 2013. I primarily skate parks and street, but can be found flailing around at a rink occasionally. And up to you, Kiana.
Hi, my name's Kiana. My pronouns are they, them, also beautifully in my favorite color right below me. Visual description, I am wearing a purple and teal sweater with a purple collar, a blue beanie. I've got black, thick, over-the-ear headphones on. I've got 2 black dots under my eyes and black lipstick on. I've got a giant septum ring and 1 pointy nose spike on the left of my nose. I have a chaotic, messy room behind me. I identify as non-binary and genderqueer. Where I skate, I am so sorry. I will do this after the podcast. I did not look up what land I was skating on, but I'll actually do that right now and share back with you in just a second. But I do skate in various parts of California. How long have I been skating? I've been skating for almost 6 years now. I did 1 year of derby, and I've been 5 years skating at the park. And yeah, that's me.
My turn.
So Rose will. Sorry, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Rose is on. Is it the far right photo on the image drawn? Rose is here in spirit, so they can join. My name is Jay. I use pronouns she, he, they. I am wearing a black, partially bleached tank top with a Hello Kitty on it. I'm wearing a necklace with an unk on it. I have medium length black and green hair. I have little bangs and a little shave on the sides. I am not wearing any makeup at the moment, have my eyebrows drawn on, and I have purple little headphones from when I was in high school. And I have been skating since 2018, just after high school. I rollerbladed actually in my youth more and finally switched to skates. I actually also did not look up what land I'm settled on, but I live in Long Beach, California. I am known to just be street skater. I've attempted skate parks. I'm very mediocre, not gonna lie. Not my jam, but I'll give it a try again sometime. And I identify as genderqueer, queer in general. And today my pronouns are she, they. Wait.
We can't hear you.
Oh, wait.
I was muted. Sorry about that. I actually knew this already, but second guessed myself because we have an organization local that I share a lot of things to. But the land that I'm skating on is Kumeyaay land. So I just wanted to share that. And if anyone wants to look up what land they're skating on, you can actually go to native. What is the dash? I guess just a dash land.ca. I'll share it in the YouTube. So if you also want to know, that is how you can find out.
I'm gonna need to look it up right now. I want to look it up.
Yeah.
This is a fault of me, a participant. Hal did a wonderful job with all the notes, so I'm sorry I was not prepared.
You're all doing great. So thank you, everyone. And at some point, hopefully, yes, a rose will, like a wild rose, will just appear out of the woodwork. We're not sure, but they are working on it. So CIB is continuously working to widen access to content. So that being said, there's still a long way to go. One step being taken is that we are going to be providing a written transcript from this conversation. And we would also really love to be able to translate this. So if you or someone you know is a translator willing to volunteer some time to support us in reaching more skaters, please slide into our DMs. Ooh, we have a rose. Cool. Or email info at cibcrew.com. So info at cibcrew.com. And if you have any other ideas about how we can broaden our access, please let us know. And we're always welcoming feedback and ideas. So we're going to jump up to Rose now for an introduction. As you get settled, when you have a moment, we were doing our names, pronouns, visual description, what land you skate on, how long you've been skating, and what type of skating you do.
Okay, so
take your time, no rush.
Yes, okay, yeah. Oh, sorry, my ute broke down, so that's why we're in a ute, but that can come in the description, I guess, as well. So my name's Rose or Rosie. I use they, them pronouns. I'm Pakeha or New Zealand European. I'm neurodiverse, non-binary skater, living in New Zealand. It is Māori land. And I'm in Tamaki Makaurau or Auckland. I just got to get this right, sorry. I can just hold that there for now. I am in my work clothes. I took off my high vis because that's just no one needs that. I work as an ecological technician, so just doing like conservation and ecology type things in the outdoors. And I'm sitting in my ute that now has been. So that's good.
Awesome.
Is there anything
How long have you been skating?
Oh, how long have I been skating? I've been skating 4 years. And I just started because I was really bad at skateboarding. So
valid.
That's
awesome. So today I'm just going to do a bit of a topic introduction, just so that folks who like to have an outline can have one. We're first going to talk about our experiences navigating different skating communities and spaces while being non-binary, genderqueer, trans skaters. Then we'll dive into how you can better foster spaces that center voices of trans and gender non-conforming skaters, especially voices of Black, Indigenous, and skaters of color. And then we'll be answering some of the questions that we received through the Instagram story, or if you have any questions that pop up in your mind, you can put them in the chat for us to answer later. And I want to state that while there's 4 of us here, these experiences are our own, and we absolutely do not speak for the queer, trans, gender nonconforming communities as a whole. So we're going to just jump in and start with what it's like to be a non-binary skater. And Kiana, do you want to start us off? And then Rose and Jay.
Yeah. I, as a non-binary skater, I'll just share a couple of things. As far as right now, it feels good because I have a group that respects my gender identity and who I am and my pronouns. And, you know, it wasn't always that way. I believe that when I first came out was during roll call, which was in Virginia. And when I had, it was really hard for people to respect my pronouns, also because it was something new to them. They didn't have anyone that went by different pronouns than she, her, or he, him. But I had friends that tried and people that respected me. I think that the only thing that is really difficult is when you're in a public space and not with people that are safe to um, open different dialogue and conversations with, and that is either at a skate park, an event, or the workplace. It's unfortunate. My old job a lot didn't quite understand pronouns or different gender identities or anything like that. It was ran by a lot of white folks and cis people that were a lot older too, so they didn't really have any sort of interaction, or they didn't have any sort of there's like a word I'm looking for, but they just didn't have anyone around them that could open that dialogue for them. So I mostly got a lot of misgendering at my old job and at the skate park. A lot of that could go with on social media too, where people will say like, good job, girl, or like, that's a skater girl, or, etc., stuff like that. I think another thing that was very difficult was going into spaces that were for femmes necessarily, because although that was supposed to be a way where, cis people who weren't non-binary, trans, or just gender non-conforming, I'm going to reword what I was saying. So it was for more women's spaces, but basically excluded cis men is what I was trying to say, and allowed transgender non-conforming and non-binary people, but yet it was still a feminine space that, any person that was trans, non-binary, or gender non-conforming, if they didn't identify with femme, they could have also felt really uncomfortable. So I think another thing that just being like a non-binary skater was going to those safe spaces that weren't quite safe spaces either, and figuring out why those weren't quite safe spaces. And that has led me to either just skate alone or really skate with the few people that I skate with, which I don't want it to seem cliquey, but when you have a safe space, those are going to be the people that you're constantly skating with. I think that our community is getting way better to where I feel comfortable going to places and being able to open up that dialogue and let people know about my pronouns, but it still is a constant misgendering. I constantly see, brands have clothing that's not, that's not, what am I trying to say? It's men or women. It's not just gender neutral, and that's with sizing and such. Like the sizing could be different and have like, here are pants for women with big butts, and then it's like, and here are flat pants for men with like no butt or whatever. Just like really physical attributes that don't really mean anything, but yet they gender them anyways. And that kind of wraps up so far the things that I've experienced in the skate community. I think it really is a lot better now though, because I have those safe spaces, but and being inside due to COVID and everything, I don't get misgendered very often because I'm not really out with anyone. But it is nerve-wracking to constantly go to new places and have to bring up that dialogue when someone says like, nice flip, girl, or just anything that has any other gender than what I identify with. And yeah, that's kind of been my experience so far.
Thanks for sharing. Ooh.
And it's our turn.
Oh, okay. I think Hal's frozen. Okay. Yeah, thanks for sharing. That's like it's funny hearing like both the parallels and the differences as well. And I think you're right. It also part of the, like, talking about the safe spaces being feminine spaces, it did take me a while to realize why I didn't feel comfortable in those as well. So that's, I think, a really important like point to note, and then how we can change that. I think it's also, I had like I think always presenting quite masculine. It's funny how, because we know that it's a cis male space, um, of kind of like boys club acceptance, like, oh, you know, you're cool, you don't skate in short shorts, or, and I was like, that's one, that's arbitrary. Two, maybe I might like it's so it's also being, it's almost like being misgendered in another way as well. Like it's kind of an odd space to occupy, um and still being in the club, but not also fitting in, or liking what people are saying either. And it can feel sometimes uncomfortable to say things, which is why I skate with headphones a lot. Partly it's because of ADHD and I need to be able to focus, and partly it's like I don't really want to hear what you have to say. um, but they've gotten surrounded by like really really good people, um, and made friends. And right now I skate with a couple other non-binary people, um, and that's really refreshing. And that's not something I've done before, but I've generally found with my friends and roller skaters I've been really accepted. But yeah, still feeling uncomfortable in the space, but still trying to own it is a hard thing to do. So
Thanks, Rose. Jay, do you want to go next?
Yeah. One other note, I just looked up on nativeland.ca and found out what land I'm settled on, and I believe it's pronounced, I feel like I'm gonna butcher this, Tongva. It's Tongva. It looks like it's pretty much the entire area of Long Beach and almost OC. So, update. um, I I relate entirely to the shared experiences on it being like what Rose said, it being a boy club-esque vibe from skate parks and everything. That is kind of what dragged me out of really trying from skate parks. Like I mentioned before, I'm very mediocre there because I never felt comfortable even going. Even going with um, more femme skater friends, that it it was still not easy. I still felt very insecure just being there, and it I got called, actually, it's really dumb too, like this nickname that it's a Long Beach thing, I guess, is roller skaters Fruit Loops at some parks, and I don't even get it. I don't know if other skaters in Long Beach have been called Fruit Loop. It's really weird. It sounds cute, but they say it in like a very negative way. Um, and it's things like this that are already starting as like, I saw it as a slur in a way where it's like, I guess I don't belong here. Like if I just called you, I don't know, four wheelie board dude, would you like it's just weird, and it was completely unnecessary. Um I got comfortable just skating with a chosen selected group of friends as well, but even then it, it it's hard to just figure out how I'm supposed to be comfortable in my skin being around these cis men that are just looking down on me trying. And that's a completely different issue as well that we'll probably get into. But um, I I just feel more uncomfortable with my body dysmorphia, where if I am feeling more in my pronouns of he on certain days and I don't appear that way, it it hurts the most, and it makes me feel uncomfortable, where they're just like, oh, check out the whatever on her and this on that. Like it's uncomfortable. It's more, I don't know what it is about skates on an apparent female that sexualizes it, and it's been getting worse to the point where I just avoided skate parks in Long Beach entirely. Um, and I stuck to just street skating or skating on the ocean trail with my headphones in because I really just don't want to hear what people say. If somebody will point out and they're just like, "Oh, I like your skates," that's great. But other comments are just getting worse, and I think people just need to open up on like it's not okay to talk to people this way. The slander's been getting worse, and it's one thing to just have your opinions, but it's like everybody. I feel like just the slander in general has just been something that's been getting excessive in Long Beach, and I it got to a point where I started just going to skate parks with my guy friends because it made me feel protected, I guess, to a comforted group of cis males and my non-binary partner, just because I was safe. But even then, it it feels like I need security to go to a skate park. That's ridiculous. It's not necessary, and I shouldn't have to deal with that. Even going alone, I don't. That's just it. I don't go alone. I just I already have bad anxiety to where I don't want to deal. But it's it's just getting worse in Long Beach, especially. I think that's the only thing that's been bugging me coming out, and I know that feels like it doesn't have a lot to do with just being genderqueer in general. This goes for everybody, but with I'm getting tongue tied. Sorry, and my mind's like spiraling on so many different topics. But I I just want people to not look at the curve and the body and everything and just see a person on skates and just deal. That ain't gonna happen, I guess. That's all I got.
Thank you so much for sharing that, everyone. But yeah, I definitely am realizing also that this is the first time I think I've actually had like a group conversation with people um, who are also genderqueer or non-binary and skaters. And it's like really hard and heavy and lovely to be able to like almost have like validating experiences of these like fears and these feelings and these stressors that come up that sometimes I like hear myself telling people that maybe don't understand it or don't experience that. And so start to feel like I'm like almost gaslighting myself at times of like, oh, maybe it's actually not that bad. When sometimes it really sucks and it's really hard. And it's, yeah, I'm really appreciative of like having this space today. And yeah, I think the skate community, like, it's interesting because, yeah, skate parks are like these like cis white male dominated spaces, but like the roller skate community are these like cis white female dominated spaces. And so it's such like it's like these two worlds that I don't feel like I fit in. And I've lived in a few different communities and have really seen the differences in like the ways in which people are or aren't accepting within the roller skate community. I won't state that for like navigating spaces as a whole or navigating skate parks as a whole. But like within the skate communities, like where I live now and where I initially started skating, both felt like spaces where there were like a lot of queer folks or folks who just like had people in their life that were trans or genderqueer or non-binary, and so had some knowledge and had practiced using that language before. Prior to moving here, I was living in another place where I just made this assumption that it would be totally fine and joined a derby team there and was just like harassed, was like like online harassed by people publicly and ended up having to leave the league, or quitting because it just like wasn't safe. I didn't feel like I could skate with people. I didn't feel like I could safely play derby against people who were like sending me threats. And it was really upsetting and hard because it was a community that I felt, or like in theory, it was this community that I felt really safe and comfortable in and loved a lot, and then sort of moved somewhere new and just felt this like total shift and like a complete opposite, and just like a complete lack of safety, a lack of feeling like I could be myself. And so it's been nice to like move somewhere else, but I also want to recognize like there's a lot of privilege in being able to move communities or being able to live in a place that I am around, or like have the choice of being around people who are really validating and who know about pronouns and know about gender and are really supportive. And a lot of folks don't have that. And there's a lot of folks skating out there in smaller communities or in larger communities that are more conservative or just like maybe don't have the language. And so I just want to like recognize that there's a lot of different experiences. So I'm curious, like, how can people create spaces that can be more inclusive for us? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I just add something to our last topic?
Yes.
I wanted to add on to Jay's about the sexualizing comments and things like that. I just wanted to say that I get that a lot too, and I'm sorry that you do as well. And I think that that's something that the community as a whole needs to work on, and also understanding that not every type of compliment or way that people describe others might work for them too. And that's just something that we all need to work on, because whether we're gender non-conforming, trans, non-binary, or we are cis, like some people still prefer different compliments and or could have trauma. I definitely do, where even the slightest thing could be very sexual to us, and we just don't want that energy at all. And I really think that the community needs to work on that, because I know that skateboarders are, or at least I've gotten it from a lot of skateboarders at the park, who say a lot of comments like that. And then I've also gotten it from women roller skaters too, who are way too comfortable with me when I'm not, and will say comments sometimes that I'm like, that in a sense should be a compliment, but to me they're not, because they're not gender validating or appreciated. Maybe I'm skating and someone's like, saying things to me while I'm not fully 100% paying attention. And we just need to think about the way that we, talk about, describe, and try to connect with people. So I want to just talk on that, because I've gotten that a lot too. And I feel like I've blacked a lot of those things out, because they are very traumatizing and not validating. But that could be one thing that community needs to work on, to flow into the next topic. Maybe ask people when you're asking them their pronouns, what kind of compliments they prefer, what they would feel more comfortable being addressed as, not just their pronouns, but like, for example, I prefer the terms cute and handsome. Beautiful's fine, but I really hate the word pretty. I don't know why, I just don't like it. I don't like sexy either. So like, even if I roll up in a sexy outfit, I would never want someone to ever call me that. And there's just like terms that people, like or prefer. And, being able to communicate those things, I think, are valid. Another thing that we can do to make the community more inclusive is to have name tags at events where people can put their pronouns on. You can make them out of, like sticker paper. You can go to Office Depot or Staples, or I don't know what they have in Australia or other places, but, those are really easy and cheap ways to share, if people are comfortable, their pronouns. Another thing that we can also do to make things more inclusive is to, if we're specifically trying to form meetups to have a safe space, then it needs to be a little more detailed. For example, instead of just a feminine space where, you're basically just saying no cis men, you need to be specific about that and say this is trying to be a safe space for these individuals, and not just say feminine space, because, what does that mean necessarily? And I think that if you're specifically wanting a safe space for gender nonconforming, trans, or non-binary folks, like, you need to say that specifically too, or create meetups where those people are safe at and only have those people, because I think that those spaces are valid as well, and we don't have enough of them. Like, I would love to see more rollouts, just like Pride, but, narrow it down if you feel you want a safe space for trans folks, and say this is a trans rollout and it's a safe space for trans folks to come and meet other skaters. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, and I think there should be more of those. As far as that, also in when we're sharing people, or like even stories and such like that, you can also put people's pronouns too, or a little, like, a visual description, but in that adding their pronouns, so if someone is watching something, they can also just learn about that person in general. I probably have more, but I'm gonna let everyone else speak now.
We can't hear you.
Oh, okay, here we go. Sorry. I was just saying thank you for sharing, and like I found that like really helpful listening to you speak, because it's kind of hard to think about all those things as well and then put on an event, and also like think about keeping yourself safe as well. So it's nice to like have other people help with ideas and feel supported in that way, and understand how I can support other people better as well, because I am in a position to put on a lot of events or help other people with skating, and I think it's hard to hold space for yourself to progress your skating and to also help other people in a positive way, and also to think as a like non-binary or queer person, like, where does my responsibility end, as well, I think is another question that I'm still asking myself when trying to create these spaces. So thank you for that. Yeah, I had actually a positive experience with this, making it more exclusive. And there was like a group chat where people were misgendering me. I wasn't in the chat, and then I had people in the chat ask me what I wanted. Do you want me to say something in the chat, or would you prefer me not to? So I think asking is really good. Like, I felt really seen in that way by those people. And since then, there's been, no misgendering, so that's really nice. So asking questions, I think, is a big one, and asking, because it's such an individual experience. Like, as we heard, we all had different experiences, so we're all going to want different things as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. You're good. I completely agree with those the name tags that that Kiana was mentioning. I remember when I saw you at the
Oh my god.
when I saw you at the what was it, the skate swap meet, and I saw you were wearing the they them. Was it a pin or was it a sticker? I was gonna ask you. It was just really cute. I was gonna ask
The
where you
holographic
like
one.
made that. Yeah, that was super cute. I loved that. And I was trying to pitch to my partner to make, because they're a jeweler. I was like, you should make pronoun necklaces because
Yes.
misgendering is right. Okay, it would be the best seller. But I misgendering is basically my middle name. I feel like being gender fluid, it's not taken as seriously. I don't want to say seriously because it's not like it's like warming or anything, but like it's not taken as likely as others. And it, if I'm in one gender or another, it's constantly something that's rotated. It's not the same every day, and it's annoying and frustrating just for me. And to have others already misgender, it's it's understandable, but also like I don't know what else to do to keep it from happening. And the constant corrections, I guess the best way we can change it up is ask if you're unsure. If you don't know what someone's pronouns are, asking is always the first step to finding out. And I I always encourage people to put their pronouns in their bio or their names if they haven't already. That has been so helpful for me. I learned that I was misgendering someone from high school that I didn't even know they came out in different pronouns. And it it was just eye-opening that, no matter how long you've known somebody, you don't know what they're going through now. Asking is one thing, but once you see somebody making the steps of putting their pronouns up or on their bio, on their name, or sharing gender fluid topics, asking in that sense is always just ask. It's not like it's not a super. I mean, it's personal, but it's not private. It's something that we want to share. It's something that we want people to get right. And I feel like people are very hesitant in asking what our pronouns are, especially in meetups. I have never seen anybody ask what pronouns somebody has at meetups or at skate parks or, beach skating and running into an old friend or their new friend or anything. I never see people ask anymore what someone's pronouns are. Asking is something I always want to encourage. Um, in introductions or when you go to like the skate swap meet that Kiana was at or anything and you meet somebody new, asking is always very important. You don't know what's going on in their world. Making assumptions is something that we keep sticking to and it's repetitive and people are just way too afraid to ask at this point. Um, that's being communicative.
Awesome. Thanks, Jay. Yeah, and I think on that too, like when I'm like as you were talking about like, yeah, just like ask people what pronouns do you use or what terms can I use to refer to you? What feels really affirming or validating? Um,
Mhm.
Something that I automatically know that someone is like a ally or a like fellow queer person or that automatically tells someone that they are a like safer person is if they introduce themselves to me um, and use their pronouns in it like my name's Hal, my pronouns are they them theirs, what about you? Especially if you are a cis person, which I'm just going to give a quick definition, just in case we've been using this language and there's folks that maybe haven't heard this term before. So, cisgender is essentially somebody who was like a cis woman would be someone who is born and assigned female at birth and still continues to identify as female. Um, so it's sort of adding a cis in the way that trans is added to the front of gender for trans folks. So there's a lot more nuance to it, but that's a very small piece of that. But I find that like, especially for cis folks to state their pronouns allows me to know that you're someone that I can actually tell my pronouns to, or that I actually feel comfortable enough to share pieces of my identity to. Yeah, so that feels like a big, like really important takeaway of like ask people or just tell me what yours are. And that's like a big way that I think allies and cis folks can really step up. Um, yeah, and like one thing that's really coming to my mind is um, when CIB was called Chicks and Bowls. Um, I was a chapter admin across the country at a different place, but like moving here, I was like, I don't know that I can really go to these meetups. Sometimes there'd be like fine print that's like, we welcome queer and trans people. But like when I'm looking through your content,
Oh no. Is house frozen?
I
Yeah.
think so. Mine froze too.
Good now,
We
I
might
think.
just need
Oh,
I might just need to refresh my thing. Because mine froze at
oh.
night.
Yeah, mine froze for a moment too. I think
I
we're
don't know
good.
for
Happens.
okay. Yeah. I'm more than happy to do that. Well, whenever Hal comes back, I would love to hear what they have to say. Um, we're kind of going on how can state spaces be more inclusive? Did anyone have more that they wanted to add to the topic?
Um,
I think there was a note down there about like bathroom access as well, which I think is really important. Because I think, well, I personally don't feel comfortable going in either bathroom. So having like finding a if you're doing a meetup, finding a place with a gender neutral bathroom. Oh, you're there. Hey, you want to carry on?
I mean, I have no idea. I saw that the screen froze, but I was like, I will just keep talking and eventually maybe figure out if it's me or if everyone's just staying really still. It was me.
Feel free to write
Um,
whatever you'd like to say again.
do you have any? Okay, great, cool. Um, I was talking about sort of like the previous piece of like being called chicks and bowls, and how like with that name, like one doesn't feel safe, doesn't feel comfortable. I don't feel invited. And then with having like all of the content on the pages being femme skaters or women skaters, and a lot of the like hashtags being like skater girls or like badass ladies, and this like very gendered culture that was sort of surrounding roller skating, surrounding roller skating. Um, and like when I'm searching through content on people's pages, it's like you can write in the side of the poster or in the description of the event, like that. Even though this is a ladies' meetup, queer people or gender nonconforming or trans people are welcome. But like if I have to read that far into the like side notes to know that I'm welcome somewhere, I don't feel welcome. And that was definitely something that was like a really big thing for me, was like I don't want to have to search through things to figure out if I'm allowed to be there. And I don't want to feel like I'm allowed to be somewhere. I want to feel like I'm actually like embraced and loved and cared for and like centered and not centered, but like held up in a space. And so I think like that was a big piece for me, was like when with the shift in the name just came a lot of like a lot of those pieces sort of came up of like, how do we create spaces that aren't just people kind of tiptoeing in? um, yeah. Does anyone have any like hooks that they want to add in, or pieces that they're like, I want to talk about this? Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I was talking briefly about like bathrooms. And I was just saying, like, I don't feel like creating meetups and stuff with places that do have access to gender neutral bathrooms, if possible, or even a bathroom at all. Because at least in Australia, a lot of places didn't have bathrooms, and I think that really excluded, um, like a lot of people from the skate park, or at least from like going and spending time and if you can spend all day hanging out there or whatever, you're also kind of making that space yours in a way as well. So just being able to exist within those spaces, um, if that makes sense. Cool. Yeah. Does anyone have anything to add about that, or?
Yeah, I guess I just want to agree with you on that. I feel like a lot of spots in San Diego where I normally skate don't have gender neutral bathrooms, which is really frustrating because although I just use the bathroom for a bathroom, and I have thankfully been a little more confident to not quite care what others think while I'm literally just trying to pee. Um, I do know that that is traumatizing to a lot of others or not very comfortable for people, and that was something that I never thought about was having a gender neutral bathroom there. And that I just thank you for sharing that because all of our experiences are different. But that that was just something I didn't even think about either. So thank you for sharing. And I would hope that anyone who's listening to or would, if they have anything to add, like put it in the comments as well as feel free to always tell any of us because I would hope that this is a safe space for people to give us more information on what would help you better have a good meetup as well. So if there are things that maybe we're not saying, please let us know too because that would be helpful as I know all of us do go to or host a lot of meetups. So yeah, that's all. But yeah, I normally also don't have to go to the bathroom when I'm skating. If I do, I just leave, which is also another thing of accessibility. So yeah. I had a baby hook. It's completely unrelated to the bathroom chat, but it was something going back to what else we can do to make others feel more inclusive in meetups and such. Greetings. I know a lot of people will still say, "Hey guys," or "Hey this," or "Hey that," and it's like gender. um, I think we should normalize being cow people and saying y'all and folks. And it's already become normalized. We might as well just it's a thing. We're trying to make fetch happen and it's already happened. So I think that's just another thing we gotta normalize or at least bring awareness to some folks because they're still saying what's up girls or what's up guys and it's just going back to what's the word I'm looking for? Assuming. Assuming people's genders. And like I was chatting with a friend earlier today and his mom started calling people fe in greetings. Being a Latinx mom, she usually calls people feo or fea, which in translation is ugly. It's just, like super normal thing. I swear it sounds horrible, but Latinx moms do say feo or fea a lot. And instead, she made it a gender neutral term for fe. And I heard that and I thought it was the cutest thing ever. So might start calling people fe if that comes up. Oh my gosh, but that made me giggle and it was just great. Yeah, like coming up with any slang or new terms that, we want to normalize or haven't been brought up, making awareness to that or politely correcting people for using wrong terms. Um, anything.
I
That
think
was my
that's
baby hook.
great. Like how people have started using rent or like gender neutral terms for like family relations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Love that.
So cute.
Has anyone touched on like what folks can do if they do mess up your pronouns or if they call you by a name that you don't use? Has anyone touched on that?
No.
Okay. Does someone want to?
I mean,
I guess for me, anyone's chill.
Rose.
I
you got it.
for me, I personally like people to just, if they can remember, to correct themselves and move on, because around that, and as long as I really feel people are trying, like that's all that's I can't speak for everyone, but that's what I want. Because you know it took me a long time to figure it out myself and break down a lot of the social conditioning that made me think I was a cis woman, which now just feels hilarious to me. Um, uh, and so I understand that other people are doing that too. But yeah, and I
I
think
agree.
you know, and then I think also like knowing that I'm aware and helping other people where I can, if they're comfortable with it too.
Thanks, Rose.
Anyone have thoughts?
I feel doing the hook is so weird. I've never done it before, and then I'll do it, and then someone's not actually done talking, so it just looks like I'm like doing a weird motion. But I just to talk on top of that there, or add on. I also just want to say that when you make a big deal of messing up someone's pronouns, you're giving kind of you're almost searching for like validation that it's okay that you messed up. I always felt really uncomfortable, excuse me, when people make a big deal of it, like it's not okay, and they'll get super mad at themselves. Which, like, if you're upset at yourself for messing up, you can do that. Just don't do it in front of the person. Like that is something that you have to work on, not in front of other people to be angry about, because that is against social conditioning that you need to work on yourself, and you can be upset at like society's norms. But to do that in front of the person that you're getting their pronouns wrong, normally that makes me feel like I need to validate how frustrated you are with you correcting my pronouns to make me feel better. And so that's then putting the situation and focusing it on you instead of me, where I just went out of my comfort zone to, correct you or what have it be. So, you can say sorry, like I'm sorry, excuse me, whatever, and then move on and correct it. But just don't make a huge big deal of it, because it is a big deal to us, but it will probably make us feel super uncomfortable if you do that. At least for me, that is how I feel. So,
Yes.
as long as
I'm like
as long as like Rose has said, if I know you're working on it, then that's all you need to do, is just continue working on it.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like in a way with the thank you for sharing. Sorry that you misgenders, and that's not a nice thing to have happen. I think for me, when it's people do usually make a big deal out of it, make it about, and so I feel like it can feel very othering when that happens. And it's just making me more aware that I am different and possibly not in a safe space. So I'm not sure if you guys have similar feelings in that way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Baby hook. Yeah, the baby hook. um the names. I I already abbreviated my name, my birth name, and I still get called by family members or old friends just my birth name, and every time I correct them, yeah, I agree with what some of y'all were saying. Don't make a big deal out of it. It's very uncomfortable. Same with my pronouns, but I feel more weird when it comes to my name. I think because I'm just out of my pronouns sometimes in myself, and my name is that's what I got, you know. I find my name more of an identifier than my pronouns sometimes. So I always just I I want people to call me Jay more. I want people to see that more. And if I correct them, it's always just, oh well, why'd you shorten it? Like your birth name's pretty or this and that. And it's like we don't that's not a compliment. It's not a compliment. Like I shouldn't have to evaluate my choices and names changing. And just because you're comfortable with something that you've known me for years doesn't mean that it's okay. Like just break out of that loop. It's okay. You can do it. I believe in you. I already had to change all my email addresses. But names is a big one for me for sure. Pronouns I get already mixed up a lot, and that's accepted sometimes. I mean, being gender fluid, I know it feels complicated sometimes, and it's already complicated for me. But at least with my name, that's something I don't take super lightly.
Yeah, it's always been so weird to me how people will, for a pet, right? Because in admiration, they're like, oh my gosh, what's her name? And then the person corrects them. They're like, he. And they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, he. And immediately just use it. And I'm like, okay, wait. So if you can understand that with dogs, why do you not put the same effort for humans or people that you care about? Like, what sense does that make? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm done.
So I just want to hop in. I really appreciate the the dog statement because it's very true. They should not be getting more respect than your non-binary and trans friends. But I do want to recognize that we're hitting 8 o'clock. So we want to get to a couple questions before the end. Are any folks needing to run out right at 8? If so, maybe shoot your hand up so you can say something, but maybe we can go for like 15 more minutes. That feels okay?
I might run out of 3, but we can give it a crack.
Excellent. We will be really happy about your presence until you maybe disappear into the abyss. Great. So one question that just came in that was just sent over was, which is very on topic, is do you have any suggestions for more inclusive titles for femme and queer friendly space private sessions? Like, and then they quoted like women with the X in the space of the E often feels exclusionary. Does someone want to like sort of put a hook up if you want to answer? I can start. I think like one really cute one that a pal of mine was saying once was like femmes and thems, which I thought was very tender, also not super inclusive, but I appreciated that they were adding the and thems on. And I don't know if it was actually part of the event or if they were just like being very tender. But I find like recognizing that spaces like are for like trans folks, non-binary folks, like women and trans folks, women and queer and trans folks, and sort of just having a really honest upfront, like who do you want here, and what does how you're framing it tell people who you want here. Anyone else?
I think that I primarily identify more with masculine terms. So I don't think I have anything to add because I don't have anything necessarily for feminine words said. But as far as just queer terms, like queer peers is cute. I really like that. And that can go for like, you know, more people who might not identify as them. Queer peers. That's cute. That's the only addition I really have. I do have, and I'll share it on my story later. I have a couple things saved of like, um, instead of using like guys or anything like that, just different words you can use upon folks and some other ones. So, just in general, I'll just share that on my story later if that helps anyone. But I don't have any for feminine terms, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree. I have the same problem. I'm not big on feminine terms. Even though she's in my pronouns, I'm not very femme. Um, I would, I guess, be creative, be cute, be clever, but be smart. I love queer pals or queer peers. That's cute. I like that a lot. What was the one you just said? How femmes and thems. That is adorable. Being that could make my heart flutter a little. Being inclusive to the fact that there are femmes and there's thems, I guess, is definitely something to take note of. Um, I agree with that entirely. But as far as femme terms, I'm out of luck for that one.
Um, we have a number of questions, so we'll get to a few of them. We may not get to them all. And I also just want to state that, Rose, you are a very popular person on these stories. There were questions that I don't have here that were directed at you, and there were some marriage proposals that came in. Sadly, this is not a situation where we can bring people on live so you can meet the people that wanted to propose to you. Unfortunate, but here we are. So the next question is, how often do you allow yourself to take breaks from skating for recovery or any reason? And if you want to answer it, maybe just pop a hook.
We got one.
Jay.
I always, always, always listen to my body. I'm very big on, like, I'm a very spiritual person. I listen to my body as a part of my type of religion, I want to say. Um, so if I'm tired, or if you're already stressed from other things and your body's in pain, or if you're injured while skating, always take the precautions to say, it's okay, I'm going to sit this one out. Or maybe I shouldn't go do this and I should take it easy. I always listen to my body because you never know when you go and with a bum knee, because I have very bad knees. And, and then I end up regretting it because I fall on that said bad knee and make it even worse. So always listen to your body. That's a biggie for sure. Um, I have a number of back issues as well. So always got to listen to my body for sure. So I give it as long as I need to. Sometimes it could be a week, sometimes it could be 2 weeks or three, and that's okay. I don't think people should feel like they need to rush the healing process. The body is basically your temple and you need to take care of it.
um, Absolutely. I totally resonate with that. And I think, like, for me, as someone who's disabled and who has a chronic illness, it can be really challenging to be constantly sort of like figuring out like what are my limits and boundaries, and like at what point am I pushing myself too far. And it's definitely something that's taken a long time to develop an awareness of. And I still mess it up and put myself out for days at a time sometimes. But I think that I don't necessarily, unless the weather is really, really bad, or unless I've like have a really, really acute injury, um, I don't take heaps of breaks, but I shift how I skate. So um, for me, one way that I can like really ground into my body is just like roller skating around my block or around this like smooth pathway near my house. That's not necessarily my preferred style of skating, but when my body is hurting or when I'm like having some mental health stuff come up, it's a way that I can just like get into my body, feel my way around, and it feels like a really comfortable and safe way to do that. So I think it depends on like, a few years ago, I may not have had the like skate skill level to be able to engage safely if I'm not in a space where like my body is feeling strong enough to skate. Um, so I think it kind of depends on like what your comfort skating is, and what works for your body. Anyone else? Yeah.
Yeah. I saw your Instagram story the other day too about how you said you're getting more comfortable with falling. It was cute. I love that. As far as me, on top of that topic though, is taking time to recognize if I have the energy or if I am safe enough to do new tricks. Because you can still go to the skate park and skate if you have the energy, but recognizing that your body might not be able to take another fall, or what it takes to maybe try a new trick is also something that I like to look at. I feel like I have a lot of high energy, and when it comes to skating, I can do a certain set of tricks over and over where I feel confident in them. They're ones that I just like to go to. But then if I, took a fall the day before or a week before, or whatever, my body's not quite recovering, I will set off learning something new because my body can't handle, taking another fall or having the energy to be able to learn something new. So taking time off can also be still skating, but at the same time, uh, kind of reorganizing the way that you're skating too. As far as completely taking time off, I feel like, during the pandemic, that has actually shown me that my body is hurting a lot more than I recognized that it was, because I was forced to stay inside and not put roller skates on, that I'm actually on my feet and walking around, and I'm recognizing that my body needs a lot more love. And by doing that, I've been foam rolling myself out, stretching a lot, and using this like little tennis ball. It's like the actual ball that you use to massage yourself, but I don't know what trigger point. That's what it's called. To kind of get in places that, I don't normally like massage out, and that's been great. But taking time to give myself like some love is good too. um, and yeah, just kind of seeing, yeah, that's all I have.
I've something to add. Like I'm really impressed. I need to take something from both of you guys to listen to my body, both your people. Sorry, even anyway. um, yeah, I'm very much not good at that. And I think part of that is also like being kind to myself. Like I use it as a form of catharsis, as working out my other like problems, or dealing with my neurodiversity as well. So it's a fine balance to recognize that I need to do that and I need to focus. But I think you made a really good point of changing how you skate. Like, can I learn something new today? Can I go to the big bowl? No. I need to go to the small bowl, or what have you. But one thing that's really important for me is taking time off social media. In terms of the skating side of things as well. So like today I'm gonna go and I'm not gonna take out my phone, and that's gonna like fill my cup in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. So gonna do maybe one or two more questions. Sorry, Kiana, did you want to say something?
I was just gonna piggyback off of what Rose said on the social media aspect, because that I feel like taking time off, or I can't find the question again, but how I interpret it is also not just what your body feels, but emotionally, because we so much compare ourselves to people on social media that I feel like a lot of us need to take time off of social media so we can emotionally heal and be able to give ourselves a kinder heart and knowing that, we're progressing in a way we want to, or we're progressing how we are, and that's okay and that's valid. So I'm glad that you brought that up because I need to do more of that. Also, I just imagine like having a skate session with you and you telling me like, I'm punished today and I have to go to the small bowl.
And you're not allowed to come back.
That's silly. Y'all are silly.
All right, I'm going to combine a couple of questions, and we're just going to do one more so that we can let folks have their time tonight. So one person had asked, how do folks get over going to the skate park alone? They are specifically from San Francisco. If I knew who this person was, I'd be like, shout out, everybody, talk to this one. And another person asked, what safety precautions do you take when you're skating alone, like specifically as a trans, non-binary, genderqueer person, and especially if you are Black, Indigenous, or a skater of color?
Step back.
How do you keep yourself safe?
I think you can talk, Rose, if you want to.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I also want to give space because not all of that question is. I feel like I can speak first or should speak first. So if anyone wants to talk before, that's fine.
I'll go real quick. I think it's illegal in California, but as a safety precaution, I do always carry like a form of self-defense. I used to have a switchblade, although I would probably never use it. It was more intimidation. I don't think I have one now. But I have one of those like keychain, like you put it between your fingers, a more like legal way of self-defense now, and pepper spray.
Yeah.
But I normally will never go to a park that I know that other people are not there. So if it's only me and some other person, then I won't go. But if it's strictly just me and I know no one else is there, then I'll go, but I'll be on high alert. And that's normally really, really early in the morning or something. And I feel decently safe if I can see the parameters of like, oh, there's someone walking towards me. Okay, I'm gonna step out of the park and go to my car. Like that makes me feel safe. If it's close quarters and I'm alone, then I will recognize that that's probably not the safest place to be, and I just won't skate. But if it's if there's a lot of people at the skate park, and I know that I have a safe way out, or I know that there's just more people there, then I've honestly never really thought about what could happen. But I do have safety precautions of like self defense at least. But normally it's with other people, and that is my safe space. So self defense stuff, I guess.
Thanks, Kiana.
Thanks for sharing. That's
thanks for
intense.
sharing.
Like, I think I feel very lucky having grown up in New Zealand and lived in Australia is relatively like open, like relatively fairly safe spaces. So thanks for sharing. It's like eye opening as well because like I've never been to a big city like that. I don't know what it's like. So just imagine that extra level of that extra barrier to being able to skate. And for me, skating is switching off and not being able to do that. Yeah, that would be really tough.
Yeah, a lot of our skate parks are gated. So I feel more comfortable when something's not gated, but when it is, that's where, because I'm a small person, I can't just hop over a gate really easily. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think the reason why they are is because in a lot of places they want to keep people out in certain areas for a lot of. I'm trying to figure out how to word it best. Like there are certain skate parks that do have a lot of high activity and I don't know the word that I'm looking for specifically, But there's this one specific part called Memorial where a lot of people do feel unsafe because there are people who have gotten attacked. That's the word I was trying to look for. Was there are people who get attacked at skate parks, and I'm not sure specifically on like the context of the situation. But I feel like our community is safe to where if something like that does happen, we do tell one another so that, like for example, it did happen recently at Memo, and someone on their story shared about it. And that circles around really quickly for us to be able to make it a safer space for one another to say, like, hey, don't go to this park for a while because this happened. So, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
I
I talk a lot.
Jay.
As a street skater, because I go to skate parks occasionally, but as a street skater, for anyone wondering the precautions to take for that, um, I always find it best to stay on main streets that are well lit if skating at night. Letting people know what areas that I'm going to be skating in on even day or night. Like I'll just let people know, like, hey, I'm going to be over here. I'll text you on my way home. I always feel like these precautions are necessary. I don't know what's going to happen if on my route, I don't know what's going to happen, and not to blame my city for that I would have to worry about something like that. Just, I guess, let people know where you're going to be located, how long you plan on being gone. Telling somebody if you're going alone as well is always really safe to do, even if nothing happens. I always go to my dear mother. I'm always just like, oh, hey, I'm going to be skating here, or I'll tell my partner, anybody. Like, I always just let somebody know the area I'm going to be in, how long I think I'm going to be there, dates if I get sidetracked and a or a bolt comes loose on my wheel, anything like that. And if I am street skating, if I'm not on Ocean, which is a very long beach trail along the coast of Long Beach, I will street skate in a not heavily trafficked area, but an area where I know that there's many passing cars or stoplights. And I know that doesn't sound like a normal skater's cup of tea, but it's to my comfort where I know I'm okay to cross the street when the light's on. But whatever comes to your comfort of, hey, this feels right for me, or I feel normal on a well lit street, that's some things to take into consideration of who knows you're there, if you're safe, or if you're meeting somebody, who that person is, or if you're meeting up with somebody you met online for like their skate community. These are just some things to take into consideration for street skating, especially.
Thank you so much. Yeah, go ahead, Rose.
Saying, for me, it would be going to the same skate park at the same time on a regular day at a regular time. So on Wednesdays I go here at this time, and then first you can go with people, and then you get to know the locals, and often it's the same people that are going there, and then naturally from being at a skate park together, you start looking out for each other. I understand that might not happen in every area or every skate park, but that's how I feel safe personally.
It's a great tip. I've never actually thought about I think about the consistency of going to the same skate park a lot, but I'm not like, oh, if I go to this same park at this same time, makes a lot of sense. I love that.
It's also like ADHD things, like I need a routine. So and then it's like a happy, okay, that's something I need to do more for these reasons.
Yeah. I find one thing that I do often for two reasons is I usually have headphones in, but I am never listening to music, mostly because I don't know how to put music on my phone, but also because if I'm listening to a podcast, I can actually hear what's going on around me. And so it's like I'm able to zone into my own space because I skate alone a lot. I'm able to sort of just be with myself, look as though I'm probably rocking out to some cool music. And then I can also hear everything that's happening around me. So I know if I'm hearing like comments that are uncomfortable, or if I'm hearing people getting aggressive, then like I might decide to leave. Yeah. We are going to wrap up. I want to take a moment to thank CIB crew and Lady Trample for creating this rad space for us to come and chat in, and Benjamin, who is our very lovely tech person who helped get us all set up today. And Kiana and Rose and Jay, it's been so lovely chatting together, and I'm like so grateful that we got this opportunity to hang out and talk, and yeah, just feeling really grateful. So thank you all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been great.
thank you.
Girl.
Should we all wave out?
Should wave
Thanks.
out.
Bye.
Can't be